it wasn't a lot of running, honestly. It was literally hiking up a mountain. And that was probably the biggest ball getting dropped. And that is not understanding the elevation change of the course and preparing properly for it.
Fast forward, we get there and we realize this had almost nothing to do with running and endurance like that. So it gave us the biggest curveball.
Is I was like, hey, listen, Andrew, you know that I value experiences more than gifts. And he was like, yeah, I get that. So I was like, well, what I did was I signed us up for this ultra marathon. I paid for it. I just need you to show up. Welcome to the Grit Behind the Grind podcast, where we dive deep into raw, unfiltered journey of entrepreneurship, fitness, mental health, and building businesses from the ground up. I'm Eric Rowell, co-founder of Grit and Grind Coffee, real estate developer, fitness enthusiast, dad, and husband.
And I'm Destiny Rowell, co-founder of Grit and Grind Coffee, creative, brand strategist, and above all, mom and wife, bringing you real talk on what it takes to thrive as a business owner, especially when you're doing it alongside your partner. Here, we don't just focus on the wins. We dig deep into the struggles, the sacrifices, and the daily grind that it takes to make it all possible. So tune in, subscribe, and get ready to uncover the grit behind the grind. Welcome back to the Grit Behind the Grind. Today, we're going to dive a little bit into a literal grind. The things that Eric and I self-induced, put ourselves through, but it has a great effect on how we run a business, honestly, our success, and the way that we're able to just kind of go through the mud of stuff. This instance is just a little bit more literal than figuratively. So yeah, we're going to tell you some of the things that we've been doing recently that has nothing to do with coffee, entrepreneurship directly, or business or numbers or anything. This is the things that we do behind the scenes to help kind of build that.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about this pain cave that we went to last week. And literally, I mean, it was 13 hours of just straight up brutal physical and mental pain.
Yeah.
And we've been kind of like self-analyzing this whole experience over the past week, and we was like, man, I think this would be really good to share with people, because it was something that we all face. We go through things and we do things that we don't enjoy, that are difficult, that are challenging, that are hard. And when you go through those and get to the other side of them and don't quit, you actually look back on them and say, man, I am so proud of myself. Like, I feel accomplished, you know what I mean? And that's really the part that we wanted to share with people. And then there might be some people out there that's thinking about, like, how do they do their first ultra marathon? How do they do a half marathon? You know what I mean? Any type of race or event that they are going to set themselves up and sign up for in 2025, they might just be looking for a few key nuggets on how to prepare for that. And it doesn't matter if you're here just looking for a few of those nuggets to prepare, or you're really looking for some motivation to, like, hey, this is why you should go do that. I mean, we're going to share our experience, and hopefully you find some of those answers here.
Yeah, if we rewind about 6-8 months ago, what this looked like for us is me just hanging out, living my best life ever, and then Eric dragging me and signing me up for, it was supposed to be a 50K, 55K Blood Rock. And I thought it was kind of like an ultra marathon, which, okay, 6-8 months later, 6-8 months ago, I had never ran more than a mile. Well, I ran a 5K, but I died. But then I try not to think about that. But I started training. We started training and running. And we were thinking that this is going to be literally a marathon. Like, we're going to be running. We need to condition our bodies for running. Fast forward, we get there and we realize this had almost nothing to do with running and endurance like that. So it gave us the biggest curveball. But I mean, that just goes to show you, was there an option to not do this? Absolutely not. Like, we were already committed. And that's just a beautiful example of I think who we are too as entrepreneurs is every day we wake up and what we have planned that day. I mean, I literally have checklists every day and schedules and notebooks. Even today, yesterday, Eric was like, we have this, and this to do. This morning, 10 minutes ago, I was like, where are you going? He's like, I have to go check on one of the rental properties. I was like, that wasn't even on the to-do list, but we don't even think about that. It's just what we do. And I think this marathon or ultra marathon, whatever you want to call it, was a beautiful example of what we do as entrepreneurs, and pivoting and being chameleons and just doing what it takes to get the freaking thing done.
Yeah. I think the moral of that story is to find you somebody that you can, put in your life that pushes you, that challenges you.
Yeah.
Because I straight up peer pressured Destiny into doing this event. If you know anything about us, we're definitely people who try to put something on the calendar that is challenging. So sometimes we get a little bit complacent in seasons throughout the year, right? So we'll start off the front of the year and we'll just be all gas, no break. We'll be trying to dial in our fitness and our diet. And for some reason, we do this every time that it's wintertime. And by time the summertime comes, we've done got into this routine. And it's like, it starts to die off a little bit. I'm like, man, I wanted a six pack, during the summer, but it always comes in the winter, whenever I start kind of really getting dialed in. But what I'm trying to say is what we'll do is we'll find things to put on the calendar. So whether that's a, half marathon race, a 5K, whatever it is, we'll go and find something that we can do that pushes ourselves as soon as we start to get into that complacency piece. And for us, I would say we do probably about 4 different events throughout the year, right? So usually fall and spring, they have some local regional CrossFit competitions, functional fitness competitions. We'll do at least 2 or 3 5K events because usually your community is hosting, several 5Ks. And then here lately, annually, I've been doing the half marathon. And then we did the ultra marathon, which basically that's what we're going to break down today. I mean, what is an ultra marathon? Basically, ultra marathon is an endurance race, right? So you're going for distance. When you're getting into running, you're usually going to start with a 5K, transition from a 5K. The next milestone might be a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles. And
10Ks are pretty popular too.
10K? Okay, well, doubling a 5K, which what is that? It's around 3 miles.
Yeah.
And then you go to a 10K, which maybe is about 6 miles, then half marathon, 13, full marathon, 26, and then you start to get into ultra marathons beyond that, right? Destiny, she's never done a half marathon, but somehow I convinced her into doing this ultra marathon. And, it's one of the things that we're kind of in a fitness community, and inside the fitness community, people talk about the events they do throughout the year. And one of them was, hey, about 2 hours away from where we live, there's this place called Oak Mountain. And Oak Mountain hosts this ultra marathon race where you can go do 25K, 55K,
100 miler, I think.
Yeah, so 100 miler. I mean, there was several different stages. You can sign up for whichever one that you were interested in doing. And so we decided to do, what did we do? The 55K, which was 32 miles. And I was like, Des, this is going to be challenging. It's going to be in a beautiful place. I mean, we can do some hiking, some sightseeing, it's going to be really cool, And
he sold it really, really good. I'm just saying. I'm not that dumb and gullible, but he sold it really well.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, hey, this is going to be challenging, but there's also going to be some cool pieces to it. We're going to be, in a beautiful place, sightseeing, hiking, that type of thing. So she finally buckled and was like, okay, fine, let's do this. Not only did I con her into doing it, I conned my little brother into doing it. He's usually always down. And then my best friend was supposed to do it with us as well, but
don't call him out. He's gonna be so mad.
He'll know when he sees this that I was talking about
who he
him.
is.
Right.
He's gonna be
But
pissed.
anyways, me, Destiny, my little brother go out here and do this thing. Now, give you a little context. Like my little brother has not been running at all for the past, 6 to 8 months. He's about 240 pounds. And when I say 240 pounds, like he doesn't work out. Right. So like I conned him into doing this. And the way that I did this is I was like, hey, listen, Andrew, you know that I value experiences more than gifts. And he was like, yeah, yeah, I get that. So I was like, well, what I did was I signed us up for this ultra marathon. I paid for it. I just need you to show up. And 6 months ago, he was like, oh, yeah, man, that sounds great. I'll do that with you. I'll start training. Well, guess what?
The morning of, he tried to turn
He
it
didn't
around.
start training. I would text him throughout the week and I would be like, hey, how many miles did you get in? I walked 3 miles. I'm like, bro, you walked 3 miles? Like, we're fixing to go run 32 miles. And he was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't think I'm ready for it. And he would just keep on having these excuses and just telling himself, like, nah, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Well, needless to say, a lot of peer pressure and targeting. He showed up, and I had Destiny and him there. Like I said, Destiny's never ran past. What was the furthest you ran before that?
13 miles
Okay, 13 miles. How many
in
times have you
training
done 13 miles?
once.
One.
Before
One
that,
time.
it was 10 miles, and then I ran a couple 5 and 6. I mean, I'm telling you, I literally went from 1 mile to 13 miles in like a month. It was insane. It was stupid.
Yeah.
It
So the
was.
moral of the story is I'm taking two people very, very ill prepared. I mean, like, I am doing nothing but encouraging them the entire way because why? Misery loves company. And I knew that I was going to have to go out here and do this. So I was like, hey, let me bring you along with me. That was part of it. But honestly, I know the value of doing these hard things and, how rewarding it is at the end. And I wanted the people that I love, to experience that with me.
Yeah.
So we basically we go out here, right, Des?
But
And
let's back up. Before training, it's beautiful. It's like August, September, October, November, beautiful weather. I mean, we're in South Alabama. The weather's always between 80, 60 first thing in the morning. This day, the day of the race, a cold front decides to come in. It is a solid 27 degrees. Need I remind you, we had never trained in that kind of condition ever. It puts a little damper on things, to be honest, mentally, whenever you wake up and there's frost everywhere and you can't feel anything when you're used to training in at least 60-degree weather. And here it is, 27 degrees. That was such a mental blow. And again, it just, you're like, there's no way. Like, I'm not prepared for this. But there's a moment whenever you get hit with adversity that you can either think of all the excuses of why this isn't going to work, and they're legit excuses. They are physical excuses. Like I felt it was 27 degrees outside. I seen that there was a mountain that we're just gonna literally have to climb up and down, and so you have that moment to either tell yourself all those excuses and have a pity party, or you're like, there is no option. Like, burn the freaking boats. We have to go through it. There's no way to avoid the pain because not everyone has this experience, but you and I have this experience that typically, whenever we go through something painful or discomfort, there is something beautiful on the other side that is growth. And as high functioning entrepreneurs, we are rarely proud of ourselves. People see our accomplishments from the outside and see everything that we have done and moved and created, but we rarely get to we don't ever sit in that. We always think of how we can make this better. How can we help other people? Who else can we carry? We don't ever sit in that kind of, it's not pride, but it's like contentment maybe. And the only time I've ever experienced some sort of brief contentment is whenever it has something to do with physical pain. And that is this ultra marathon. It is CrossFit competitions. It is running my first 10 miles. And it's kind of sad. We're kind of broken away, but it's the only way that we can feel that. And it is very, very brief. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So let's talk about basically what we learned as far as preparation, right? So anybody who is fixing to do a half marathon, full marathon, ultra marathon, basically what we've learned is you need to make sure that you are prepared because it puts an entire, the whole race or the event that you're doing, like it makes it 10 times more difficult if you are not prepared, right? And some of the things that I am super thankful that we did prior to this race is number one, bringing a pack, right? So we were kind of up in the air and it was like, I don't want to carry this pack the entire time. They're going to have aid stations, we'll be fine. Let's just kind of run with what we can carry in our pockets, and roll out. But at the last minute, we decided to get two packs and load them down with all of the nutrition and hydration. And I can tell you right now, if we would not have a pack during this event, like we wouldn't have made it.
No, I actually trained with mine. I think you bought mine for my birthday in September. So that was a few months ago. Here we are in December now. When we ran and then or well, we ran in November, the end of November, but still. I trained with my pack for a little bit. I knew your girl was bringing all the snacks. I don't They were going pockets full, but no. I was bringing water, ice, snacks, gel, all of the things. Banana, peanut butter and jelly. I was not
Did you eat
leaving.
all of your snacks?
I ate all of my snacks.
Okay.
No, no, I think I had some. I had like a Cliff Bar left over. Those last few miles were rough. It got really dark mentally, and so I was trying to conserve a few snacks just to get an endorphin boost from them, not because I was hungry. And I think I ended up having a Cliff Bar and maybe a few gummies left, but
Yeah.
majority.
So this entire race took us 13 hours. We started at 7 a.m. and then we wind up finishing at 8 p.m., right? That's when we crossed the finish line. And I would say the last few miles, like it was literally like the last 3 miles were the most difficult because we was not planning to run at dark and it got dark on us. What we penciled out during training, it was like, okay, hey, up and down these hills, we can do probably like a 13 to 15 minute mile consistently. And it's going to take us like 8 hours. No, because the difference that we didn't calculate in, and anybody who is going to do Blood Rock and has never done it, or any other ultra marathon, what I highly encourage you to do is look at the course that you are preparing for prior to and then actually know the elevation change because we didn't understand it fully. And when I said, Destiny said earlier, like, hey, we prepared to run but we didn't do any running. It was literally mountain climbing straight up, and then once you got to the top of the mountain, we're going straight
Straight
back
down.
down. So that was the most challenging piece. I mean, so we went from like we would definitely run the flat parts or anywhere that we could run. We would do those runs, but it wasn't a lot of running, honestly. It was literally hiking up a mountain. And that was probably the biggest ball getting dropped. And that is not understanding the elevation change of the course and preparing properly for it. So that's probably something that I highly recommend you do. We used my Garmin watch, and the cool thing about these, races is most of the time that you can go to the race website and then you can download the GPX file, and then it'll be on your Garmin watch, and you can kind of follow it to make sure that you're staying on trail.
That was a
The
lifesaver. Yeah, that was a huge help. Just mentally knowing where checkpoints were and things like that, which this race was beautifully flagged out. But again, no one brought a headlamp or nothing. Like, so even at night, even though the flags have reflectives on them, it's still hard to see and they kind of get spaced out the closer you get to the finish line. Having your garment was a lifesaver.
Yeah, and I would say Probably additionally to that, if we're talking about things that we couldn't have done without, is the packs to carry everything, right? Hydration, water in the packs. So making sure that you have some type of water container in your pack, nutrition, the Garmin watch, and then also having a external little battery pack that we ordered off Amazon for like 20 bucks. And we ran out of phone battery during this race because it was 13 hours, right? And it got dark on us. And if we would not have had that little external battery pack for the phones, we would have been completely dark, pitch black. And when I'm telling you, you're going straight up a mountain and down a mountain, try doing that at dark 30, bro.
And you
That
can't
is
see
not
nothing in front
happening.
of you. Yeah. You couldn't
Yeah.
see anything in front of you.
So our miles, they probably went from, like 18,
18.
19-minute miles to 33-minute miles
I
when
say
it got dark.
our longest one was like 29 for a while. And then, man, and then it kind of went up
Yeah.
whenever
And
was.
then when it got dark, Destiny, I turned back around. She's sliding, falling, tripping. And then, when it's dark and you're already 26 miles in and you're already like kind of at your breaking point, and then you fall and trip, it's like, holy cow. Everyone just like shut up, didn't say a word,
It was
put their head
silent.
down, and
Yeah.
kept moving, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, I thought that I had brought my AirPods and I was thinking, oh, just like our normal run, like I'm gonna run a good 10 miles. I'm gonna maybe walk to, I'm gonna listen to my podcast. I think I may have used them and listened to music once, and it was definitely in the daylight. Once that darkness hit, it was a whole different mental battle, and physically. I don't know which is worse, walking up a mountain or walking down a mountain. Like both of them are different, muscle groups in your leg, I feel like, and they're equally miserable. I think I cried also mile 26 all the way to like 30. Like I'm talking like snot down my nose, like don't talk to me, like hyperventilating. It got dark like in here for sure.
Yeah. So, but I think the race event itself was well put on. There was,
Beautiful race, yeah.
many participants. For us, I think it was a great starting point to get to understand the terrain, and the 55K was just enough for our capabilities at this time. I would love to go back and eventually do the 100 miler. I think that that would be an awesome, experience and just kind of like an achievement. So
Yeah.
anybody who is looking into doing ultra marathons or even blood rock, like I said, it's a great event. It's hosted around the end of the year every year, and I think it's part of like a whole circuit, like southeastern trail runs or something like that. Maybe we'll look that up and put it in the description. But definitely Blood Rock. It was a really challenging course. For us, we know the value of pushing ourselves, just making sure that we get out of our comfort zone and we're doing new, challenging things because it's a mindset thing. It's something that we need. It saves us money, even though these events cost money. I probably spent roughly about $300 a person for this event. But you think about like therapy. What does therapy cost all year? You know what I mean? This
I'm
was
gonna need
therapy.
therapy after this one though. This one was hard. Why? I just have a disclaimer. Why couldn't we have just did the 25K?
Looking back at it, I mean, that was probably a better starting
Still
point.
overachieving, but
I blame
why?
it on the circle of people that we, are hanging out with,
Yes.
because a couple of the cross country coaches and things like that here locally were like, "Hey, we're going to do the 55K," and I'm thinking in the back of my mind, well, if you're doing the 55K, I'm gonna do the 55K. Like I'm not gonna let you show me up, go a whole entire year. You talking about you went a further distance than me? I just don't operate like that.
That's funny. And I think though, I mean, after it's all said and done, it was extremely painful, extremely hard. But I think Andrew looked it up, and to qualify, I think for something you have to get at least 14 hours or sub 14. And I'm like, Look at us go. Like, we qualified for something that I'm clearly not ever doing, but we still qualified.
I think that that was the cutoff where they shut
Oh,
the race down, babe. But hey,
was it? They still have people
we
running.
nah, we'll have to fact check that one.
Yeah, that's the story I'm telling myself.
Right. No, I mean, but at the at seriousness, like looking back on it, like, was it beneficial? Like, are you proud of yourself for doing it?
It's so hard. I mean, from an outer, it's only been a week ago. So I'm like, I don't know. Like, am I stupid? Am I just like, like, stupidity, or am I proud? It hasn't really settled in yet for me.
Well, we'll check back with you in a few months. Like, she's still kind of scarred,
I
as you
am.
can tell, like she's maybe we broke her.
Yeah, you definitely something broke inside for sure, and it's just I haven't got to the point where I feel proud yet. And I mean, some people are like, "You're crazy," like there's no way, but it just hasn't hit yet. I don't know if there's more that I feel like I could have done, or like, you know, expectations that we set for ourselves, or what it is. And I don't feel like it's none of that. I don't know. It just hasn't really set in. I honestly think I'm just still in shock, probably. Like, that is insane. Like, if you'd have told me that, I would have like rucked or hiked or ran whatever we did for 32 miles. I'm like, you're insane. Like, there's no way. And if you know Destiny, running. Like, there's so many people when we were training, they're like, Destiny runs. Yeah, no, she does not.
That's the whole point of this. It's doing things that you're uncomfortable with because, man, the coolest thing is like I have this perspective where I know that life is hard. Business is hard. Being a parent is hard. Everything's hard,
You just got to
right?
choose your heart. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, things like this really do put other larger issues that you build in your mind. You think that things are really large and, they're not able to be overcome, but then you go and do something like this and it's like, oh, okay, well, I thought starting the day at that race was going to be a challenge or that it wasn't possible. And then achieving that and completing it, now I understand that my mind was kind of playing tricks on me and was kind of telling me, oh, you won't be able to do this. You can't finish this. And then me actually proving to myself that I could just gives me fuel whenever I'm having a bad day or my kid is, pushing my buttons or everybody in my business is calling me because things are burning down. It's like, okay, all right, I can slow down, stop, and say, all right, this is challenging, but I'm going to get through it. Because what really happens is my mind tells me, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to complete this. I'm not going to be able to get through the day because it is so challenging and whatever I'm dealing with is going to break me. And then I remind myself of this day, of completing it, walking across the finish line, and just think to myself, I remember thinking 13 hours prior to this event, I would not be able to do it. And I did it anyway. And then I used that to kind of tell my brain at that current point in time to say, hey, this is only a fleeting feeling. Just keep moving forward, keep doing what I need to do. And then at the end of this, there will come a time, whether it's in 2 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 hours, 13 hours, whatever that looks like, to where I get on the other side of this challenge.
Yeah, and building your mental fortitude is like anything else. You have to get reps in. The best way to get reps, imagine sitting in your own thoughts for 13 hours. And they're not beautiful unicorns and rainbow thoughts. They're deep, dark thoughts where you are constantly proven to yourself and winning those mental battles. Like, you're going to be okay. This is going to be fine. You were created to do hard crap. Like, we're going to get through this. Like, failure's not an option. For 13 hours straight on replay, fighting your mental battles, you learn a lot about yourself. Um, this is also another beautiful example that I think about. Like I said, like, people are like, Destiny runs. Like, you are capable of recreating the persona of yourself at any given moment. Like, just get up off the couch, buy some shoes, start walking, and you're a walker now. You're a runner now. Like you can do that any moment that you want to. Like all these strongholds and labels that we have a tendency to put on ourselves, introvert, shy, non-runner, whatever it is, you have the ability to change that like no one else does. And it's neat because instantly when people start seeing us, run down the road or posting, content, they're like, that's super motivating. And I'm thinking like, well, literally a day ago, this was not part of my identity, which is really, really cool to think that you can recreate yourself any given moment that you want.
Yeah. So hopefully this helps somebody, whether or not you're training to do something, or you're just looking for some motivation to get through, or preparing, whatever that looks like.
Or for me to look back and watch whenever Eric tries to talk me into something, I'm going to rewatch this episode and be like, hell to the no. We're not doing this. Not happening. I'm gonna send you this episode, Eric.
Well, hey, what we have done is committed to another event, and that event is High Rock. So what
Oh,
we're fixing to do is we're fixing to go do High Rocks. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a really cool, like kind of, I think it's, similar to what Spartan races were, but a little bit more a blend between Spartan and CrossFit. We're going to go do the High Rocks in Atlanta. I think that's in April. So that's kind of like the next event that we have on the calendar. If you would like, some content about that event, how we're preparing for it, if you're interested in that, drop us a comment and we'll try to do a video on the High Rocks.
for sure.
So until then, we will see you later.
No grit, no pearl.